and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Greetings, everybody. My name is JB Herrera, and I'm the president and CEO of Synergy AI. Welcome to Global Speakers Talk Live, the first event that we have of 2026. How to find clarity in uncertain times. You know, we live in a moment where uncertainty isn't the exception, it's really the environment. Old maps don't work the way they used to. Roles have shifted, identities have cracked, and many people are quietly asking themselves a hard question. Where am I now? And how do I move forward from here? That question matters to me because I've spent much of my life learning that clarity rarely shows up as an answer. It really shows up as orientation. You see, when I was young, I didn't know the word for it, but I knew the feeling. I loved building, not finishing, building. I remember I got a big race car track as a kid. The cars were fine, but what fascinated me was taking the track apart and reassembling it, testing the different layouts, seeing what worked and what didn't. Clarity didn't come when the track was done, it came while I was engaged with it. And years later, the same types of things came up for me. I researched obsessively. I hand drew microscopic diagrams in science project when I was a little kid. I built presentations again and again and again. And I got good grades. But for me, the real clarity wasn't the grade, it was the process. And so, what I understand now, and what it took me a long time to learn, is that clarity does not mean certainty. So, today isn't about giving you an answer, it's about helping you locate yourself. See, there's a difference between being lost, stuck, or starting over. When you're lost, you've lost orientation. When you're stuck, you have clarity, but no movement. And when you're starting over, something honest has ended, even if it wasn't your choice. Clarity doesn't mean certainty, it means alignment between what you feel, what you value, and what you're willing to do next. So, our speakers today come from different disciplines, different lived experiences, and different ways of knowing. What they share is this: that clarity is built from the inside out, then lived through action. So, wherever you are, my invitation is simple: don't rush, listen for what resonates, and allow yourself to take one true step forward. So, today, to begin that exploration, we're going to start with the inner terrain because clarity is often blocked not by lack of intelligence, but by unresolved emotional patterns. Our first speaker today helps us uncover what's happening beneath the surface so movement becomes possible again. Mahdi Nassiri works at the intersection of neuroscience, emotional healing, and values alignment. He helps people uncover the emotional root causes that quietly shape behavior and guides them toward lives that feel authentic rather than reactive. So please welcome Mahdi Nassiri. Mahdi, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, JB. I was honored to be on this stage in the summit. Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. Welcome.
So before I start, I want to ask a question. Have you ever noticed that other people see more values or more potential in you than you notice about yourself? In the Johari windows is called blind spot. When we're talking about the blind spot, maybe you're thinking about, in the driving on the lane, it may be danger or something like you need to be cautious about. But I want to talk about the positive, the brilliance, the potential that in resident inside us. However, we don't have the vision because we cannot see it. It's on the blind spot, as it's called. I want to just bring you back in 1998. It was less than 2 years before my graduation, and I decided what I want to do in my life. Because I couldn't have clear vision what I want to do, so I said I want to migrate. Yes, I'm living in Australia, Adelaide, but I came from Iran. So I said I want to go to Australia. But I didn't have any plan or clarity why I want to do it. I just want to escape from what is the environment, what is just I want to escape from. However, 1998, 2008, I started the application, and 2010, I came to Australia, but nothing changed. Still, I was busy with the chasing the job, and then from this job, redundancy, I starting a different um, self-employment. I want to run this business because I want to free. I want to have a passive income, but not successful. Start another type. Now, when I look at the history, I work in 22 different industries, including 15 self-employment work types and entrepreneurship. But the change happened in January 23. I was working in the federal public service, and I was invited to a business team. I didn't know what they're doing, but I raised my hand and said, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm a quick learner, so I can learn. When I start work, and the team was in a different city because I'm in Adelaide, but they are in a different city. The one session when I have a catch up with my manager told something that completely changed my life. And he said, I was looking and I was watching you from the distance, and I see your integrity, your smart problem solving and contributing and caring about the others, and I want you be in my team. So when the opportunity is raised, I'll call you and I want to come. So when he said that one, I was backing again. How someone else can see something in my character, but I cannot see it. So I start to believing in myself that I'm worthy, what I want to do in my life. Now is almost 2 years and closing to the 3 years now, and I'm starting to questioning myself. What do you want from the life? And it's the fogs come be clear. Now I want to be a public speaker. What I need to do? I register for the public speaker courses. I want to be a leader. I want to be care about the others. When the opportunities come, I raise my hand. To be honest, I was shaky. However, I got the offer. And I noticed that my career is progressing more and more interviews passing. After 25 fails, but every interview is coming successful. I went to the list of merit. And when I receive an offer, I notice not only my old manager, everyone in the executive, they're looking, and then I will become, they call the label or tags as a gold asset in the agency. What I learned is raised my confidence, believing in myself, and now I starting to helping my colleagues around me. And then when they're coming, I advise them, what they want to do, and then discover the potential. What has happened? They got successful. After 3-4 years, no news, nothing happened. They're starting stepping up their careers, is progressing. And I see and watching them right now. Now I understand what clarity means. The clarity is the destination, is the meaning, what you want to achieve. Just imagine you're on the board in the sea, and everywhere is the foggy. What you need to find your direction? Compass. And your destination is your compass. When you have a dream, when is big enough that make you awake and then go to that way. So every time you look at it, I want this one. However, we are talking about the times that we stuck and we lost. I was thinking about what has happened to me when I was lost and stuck, and then I didn't know which direction I go. And I noticed the definition of the values. Who am I with the tag and other people labeling me? You cannot do it. You're not enough. When you understand the things I want to achieve, my goals are clear enough, and I know why I want them, not only with the surface why, with the deepest why. That's the method is called 5 whys. If you go deeper with each whys, it open another obstacle, is open another way. That's you understanding the reason behind why I want this, why I want to be a public speaker, why I want to be a great husband, why I want to be a great dad or mother, or anything you want to name it. If you want to, who the person you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to have. All of them is can make a list of the important things, and then you can prioritize them. But it gives you clarity and direction. The main things in the clarity plan is how you achieve it. When you know what you want, we go to the step of how we get it. Because we have the destination, we have the whys that is inspire, make a discipline to the goal. However, how we can get it, we need to break it down, plans. Now, I want to share that is why I'm stepping here, very clear what I'm doing, and then what I want to achieve in my life. Because I connected to the private coaching and mentoring program, and that helped me to define the clarity. What's the steps? How you can achieve it? When is become the very big obstacle and the wall? They just ask me to step back, break it down, make it small and simple that you can do it and make a habit and then keep going. Because everything I want to do is aligned with the path I want to go to the destination. That's why today I master certified in neurotransformation therapy. Why? Because when I sit with my clients to understanding what they want to in the career lifestyle, when I starting interview with them, I noticed that there is a two reason people cannot achieve what they want, and then they stuck. First, ego. The ego is bring the people up, and they cannot see where they want to go, how they can achieve it. But another reason for people cannot see, and then is damage the confidence, is they blind spot. They don't see the capabilities. They underestimate their capabilities and potentials. That's why when someone outside of them, it can be any friends, family members, or go and seek the teachers. When they see, again, when you're talking about the people you trust, we call it coach and mentor. When you're talking to them, what I want to, how can I achieve it? What the skills need, what the resources I need. And then they bring it up. They can say, you're good at good learner. You achieved, and then you already result in your life. How you learn to ride a bicycle, how you learn to ride a car, driving. Everything is not happen over the night, but you clear what you want to do, and then somebody guide you through the process, how you improve your movement, how you can handle the multitasking, and then you got it. Now, these days, I trained in the neurotransformation therapy because I understanding every obstacles, every reason that people lost and stuck is internal, is inside their head, is a mindset. And then the story they told themselves, that the identity that is not serving them anymore, and then they believe it. We need to break down that the beliefs and all the stories and the state, and then create a new one that serves you through your goals. With this method, with the neurotransformation, we're rewiring the beliefs and the stories, and people can become believing themselves, trusting themselves, and then moving forward. Today, understanding if everyone believing in yourself, but you don't believe in yourself, it will not go anywhere. But I know we have a brilliant inside us, and then with someone's believing, it can be fired. And I'm today here to make it happen. I'm not sure, I lost my video. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay, so it just
There's always a technical challenge somewhere in a show, right? So, Madi, your story is really amazing when you think about all the things that you've had to overcome, and the process that you have. So, good, your camera's back, and
Yeah.
then it's gone.
It said too hot, so probably the camera is getting hot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're coming in and out. But I want you to finish the story. So why don't we have, like, you and I have a conversation? Keep going.
Sure. Okay, so as today, when I interviewed more than 50 people, and then they are successful, some of them without even experience, so they want to change their career. When they coming and sit with me, I see the low confidence. But to make them, help them to believe themselves, the first thing I need to do is understanding why they want to do. When I find that the brilliant inside and the inspire, what the fire, what the fire inside that I need to ignite, and starting to changing the story, and with the increasing the confidence, increase the believing, what you're believing in yourself, what you've done before. I'm not going to bring the external matters inside. However, I use the achievement they had. I I bring the what is happening before. What is called is developing their story. What's your story? When you identify the story that we know, I'm using normally star models in my coaching programs, it helping to understanding the situation, the task, and actions, and at the end is a result. That is how to prove how what you do, what you did in the past, how is affecting your result. The main thing is I want to say today, I attended the Tony Robbins Time to Rise Summit, and it was interesting that I want to just go and understanding how or a story and identity that we told ourselves and believe it is holding us back. When you're starting to change the state you have, the story will be changed. By changing the story, your strategy will be changed. And guess what? The result will be changed. Because when we're doing in the circle, then we actioning and doing something we are familiar and comfortable, we get the same result, ongoing and ongoing. But to get out of the comfort zone and starting to the change, we need to always questioning what the state we are in. If it is still aligned with our goals, what we want, and we have a clear about we still want to achieve it, good point. If not, you need to question why I'm doing this, why I'm not achieving, why my result is not aligned what I'm expecting. So you need to take action. To take action, we need to take the different feeling, but the feeling is linked to how we think. And then for the change of the thinking, we need to change the meaning to the external events. I hope I can inspire someone or relate it to someone that today start thinking about why I'm not getting the result, why I need to change, what thinking, what the emotions are. And for my advice is always ask someone, not to be very big coach, but it should be someone that you can be familiar and very close and easily ask them how you feel about me, what you think about me, what I should do different things. When you see from me to go to work, when in the different parties, why you think about me, why values I have. And before they believing in you, you need to believe in yourself that your value, your worthy, and your desire what you want to achieve in your life. Back to you, JB. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Well, no, I mean, thank you very much, Madi. That was great. I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to reach out to you. So you can see in the screen, we'll put this little crawler there. Madi's graciously put down a link for you to reach out to him. Please take the opportunity. He's filled with a plethora of concepts, a set of processes that can actually help you. So please take the opportunity to reach out, click the link, schedule some time with Madi, and he can help you. Madi, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, JB. Thanks for this opportunity, and hope everyone get clarity. 2026, call it is clarity year. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, our next speaker brings clarity down to earth through discipline, responsibility, and lived experience. He reminds us that clarity is often built by doing the work before confidence shows up. Mickey Lyles offers a grounded, no-nonsense perspective forged through lived experience. From humble beginnings to building a huge net worth, he teaches discipline, strategy, and execution without sugarcoating the work required. Please welcome Mickey Lyles. Mickey, welcome.
Oh, JB, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to share with the listeners today, and I'm excited about what they can learn for their lives for 2026.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear you, Mickey. Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So, guys, today I'm going to be sharing how we create clarity in uncertain times. And the important word that you need to write down is create. Oftentimes, you'll find a title that says Finding Clarity in Uncertain Times. And you're going to hear in the next 15 minutes or so why I believe that we have to create our own clarity. But what I want you to write down, this is huge, is clarity does not come from certainty. Clarity comes from control. Clarity does not come from certainty. Clarity comes from control. In 2009, I was living a very standard American life, one that you would see. I was married. I had 3 children. I had one singular W-2 job. My wife had a job. We were living the American dream. And what you find out living the American dream is very often it's paycheck to paycheck. Times were very tight. We were living on credit, but we had each other and we had a good family. on a very brisk April day in 2009, I had an unfortunate thing happen that created a reset within my life. Not really even a reset, almost a fundamental change, a path to a new progress. I found my dad dead on his kitchen floor at 58 years old. You know, we all have pain and trauma in our lives, and we have things that have happened to us along the way. But that day was a very defining moment. It was filled with shock. It was filled with grief. It was filled with chaos of EMS and workers and family and phone calls and people going and coming. And then the very short days, 2 to 3 days after I found my father deceased at 58 years old, and coming to the understanding that my dad's complete net worth was $17,000. 58 years of life amounted to $17,000 of net worth. And I realized no one's coming. It became very clear to me that my parents weren't there to save me. My spouse wasn't there to save me. My children wasn't there to save me. My employer, my coworkers, that nobody was coming to save me in this world. And that if I wasn't completely satisfied with where I was at and what I had, that it was up to me and me alone to go create that change in order to get, the things that I was desiring. So I want you to write these things down. There's 3 things that you have to create clarity for your life. And by the way, you do this drill many times in your life. You might want to create clarity for the next 90 days. You might want to create clarity for 2026. And you might want to create a clarity plan for the next 5 years or the next 10 years. But you're going to need these 3 things to invoke that change. Number 1, you're going to need direction. Our dear friend and great sales and mentorship leader, Zig Ziglar, said it best. If you do not have a target, you will hit it every time. We 100% have to know where we're going. I call it the success blueprint. I walk my clients through this exercise. And here's the thing. Your journey is your journey. Some people want to buy back their time. They want to create quality of life with family. Some people want to make so much money that they can buy their own freedom and see the world and travel. Some people want to create net worth so that they can have things. Your journey is your journey, and it's not anyone else's to judge, but you have to know where you're going. So we start out by creating clarity, by creating a success blueprint and a plan about where you're trying to go. You can never hit a destination that you didn't define. Otherwise, we're just wandering right through life. So we're going to start, number 1, by creating direction. It's very important. The second thing you're going to have to create clarity for your change in your life is you got to create margin. And this is the part that I'm able to get my clients to understand so clearly when they realize that their answer to their problems is right in front of them, and it's been right in front of them the whole time. You have to create margin. What do I mean by margin? Margin is simply, it's a word that a lot of people use in business, but they don't think about it in terms of their private life, personal life, their personal finances. Margin is simply the difference between what you have coming in and what you have going out. The reality is that if money is not your motivator, if you want to be one of the most philanthropic people in the world and give back and be a part of nonprofits and be a part of the human resolve, you still have to have money to pull those things off. Everything we do, whether it's missionary travel, whether it's a flyer to get your notice out there, whether it's marketing so that people can hear your story and you can attract donors, or whether it is genuinely to build businesses for yourself and your family and to create a legacy plan, you need resources to do it. So the number 2 step is you have to create margin. So how do you create margin? Well, the truth is that even though a couple of days after my dad's death, I had this aha moment that no one was coming, it still took me 4 years to hit rock bottom and to take action on that. In that next 4 years, I ended up getting divorced. I was living in an apartment where I once lived in a custom-built house with my wife. I had $120,000 in credit card debt. I was about to lose my house, which I'd had to rent out because I couldn't afford the mortgage. For all intent and purpose, I was broke and I was broken financially and emotionally. And then there was that life-changing event. And if you read my book that I have coming out in around April or May, or you follow the podcast that I'm on or any of the social media channels, you'll hear the rest of that story. We don't have time for it this morning, but I'm going to tell you that there was an event that happened that changed my life forever. And I took full control of my life, and I started by creating a plan and understanding that I needed to create margin. Now, creating margin is actually very easy, but it is not. It's easy to understand, but it's not easy to execute. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of discipline to your plan and understanding that you're not doing it for anyone else but yourself. Margin can be created by working 3, 4, 5 jobs. It can be created by having a primary job and driving Uber, door dashing, delivering pizza, having part-time jobs on the weekend, whatever it takes. There's a sign on my desk that says, I want results, not excuses. Every client I work with at some point in the journey tries to give me excuses. I'm one of the few people that you will work with as a coach that gets to say no excuses because I've been there and I've done it. Now, here's the part a lot of people miss. I believe it was Benjamin Franklin, don't hold me to that said, a penny saved is a penny earned. Creating margin can be done just as easily by reducing our expenses and learning how to live on a budget and to suppress our spending habits as it is creating income. The fastest way to create margin is to do both of those things. Our dear friend and financial coach, Dave Ramsey, says it best. You don't see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there. We're living on beans and rice, rice and beans. But anybody that tells me they can't create margin, I'm going to challenge them otherwise because I created margin. I actually created, to be exact, $88,000 in margin over a 2-year period. From broke and broken in an apartment, lonely and desperate, to a savings account with $88,000. And then the third step to creating clarity for your plan is you bet on yourself. Because the reality is that people don't understand what true security is. See, if you come from nothing, it'd be easy to think $88,000 is security. It's not security. You're one lost job, one car wreck, one cancer diagnosis, one medical diagnosis away from being broke again. If you genuinely want to change your direction in life, you have to get comfortable taking chances, but betting on yourself. In that time, after I had worked for 2 years to save up $88,000 by working 3 and 4 jobs, I found a dilapidated rental property, or it was not a rental property. It was just a piece of real estate that was dilapidated. And I bet on myself. I had never flipped a house before, but I took the entire $88,000, took that account down to zero, bought that house, rehabbed that house, put in sweat equity, stayed up to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, swinging hammers and pulling sheetrock, all while I had to be up the next morning and still be to my regular job. And when that house flipped, I netted $127,000. Plus, I got back my $88,000 in down payment and rehab money. And over the next 10 years, I deployed that $215,000 into many businesses. Today, I've built businesses that I've built and sold. I've built businesses that I failed at and closed. Today, I have 9 entities that cumulatively do over 8 figures in revenue. 10 years. You can change your life so quickly if you just believe in yourself and in the ability. So again, you start with a plan. I call it a success blueprint. Number 2, you create margin. And number 3, you bet on yourself. In my coaching business, Immeasura.com, we do personal financial coaching and we also do business coaching. Because step 4, which we won't go into today, is now that you're ready to expand your business, how do you learn what you don't know? And that's the problem, is we don't know what we don't know. And there's so much to be learned about how to scale a business and where to start. And so my offer to you guys that are listening to the Global Speaker Talk this morning, which I'm so proud to be a part of, is to go to Immeasura.com and to fill out the Contact Us form, where we will set up a free discovery call, meet you where you're at, and customize a plan and give you a special program rate for coming from Global Speakers. So just type Global Speaker into the notes when you schedule your call. and we'll be sure to know how to contact you from there. I am so excited for all of you to find yourselves in 2026. I'm excited for you to write your success blueprints and to understand what your journey is. And I encourage you greatly. I will tell you very transparently, in the mid 2000s, as a young and upcoming business guy who had not figured out how to do it right, I was very averse to coaching. I wasn't really understanding what it was about and how it could really help me. It felt like a waste of money until I landed on the right mentor and the right coach, and it changed everything. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself, and don't be afraid to partner with people that have your best interest at heart. So my name is Mickey Lyles. I'm the founder and CEO of A Measure of Growth Partners, and my encouragement for you today is stop waiting and start building.
Oh, Mickey, that's awesome. Intensely powerful. I know exactly where you come from, having experienced something similar as well. And I've been a business coach for 35 years, as well as starting my own companies. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I would strongly encourage everybody who's listening, whether it's live or in the future, take a look at that link and please go there, because what Mickey's talking about is truly the success blueprint for how you can build that clarity and build the life that you want, that you need, that you're put here for a purpose, and it's time for you to take action to build that purpose out. So Mickey, thanks very much. I really appreciate you being here.
Yes, my pleasure, and I look forward to meeting everyone.
Absolutely. So now our next speaker invites us into that deeper dimension where clarity reconnects us to soul, wisdom, purpose, and inner guidance. The Reverend Dr. Nancy Smith is a spiritual mentor and humanitarian who guides people back to soul wisdom and deeper purpose. Her work centers on reconnecting with inner guidance beyond fear and conditioned identity. So please welcome to the stage, the Reverend Dr. Nancy Smith. Welcome.
Here we are. Tech, you said we always have tech problems. Well, my webcam decided to just go upside down. So I'm teeny tiny on the screen. But I think my voice is loud enough so you can hear me. But I'm so honored to be on the Global Speakers Talk. I love talking about this topic, and feeling stuck and finding clarity to me is about reconnecting to our soul, reconnecting to our higher self. The miracle in our lives that we may not realize is that we're created from divine love, and our journey in our life now is returning to that love and living with that love within our lives. The miracle is not waiting to the end of our life to experience that love. It's about returning to it now. And I have several different steps that I offer to people to connect to their soul, to hear their soul's language, and to use their intuition, use that gut inner self, that quiet voice that always speaks the truth to you. Our soul always knows what to do. And when you learn the 5 languages of your soul, or the different ways that your soul is trying to get your attention and is talking to you, you stop living from reaction and you start living from creation. A couple of the speakers have already talked about creation is so important in the time when you're feeling stuck and when you're not clear about what's going on. The clarity around us on the outer world isn't the clarity that we need. It's not the clarity that we thrive under. So when you stop doubting yourself and your own intuition, and you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what am I being invited to become? That shift changes everything. So very, when I was creating this talk, because I could talk about this for hours, obviously, how can I break this down to a short, concise message to everyone out there is let me try to go through these quick little steps, or this and make it very clear for you. it starts with looking in the mirror, finding your soul, finding who am I, who's my authentic self, what's operating, what operating system am I using right now, is to look in the mirror and feel like, is this a stranger to me? Do I know who this is, or do I feel connected to this man or woman that I'm looking into just look into your eyes and say, who are you? Where are we going with this train? And how are we reacting to our lives? How are we loving our lives? And how are we avoiding our lives? Because it's just a little bit too much. The invitation in our lives can show up. I call them soul appointments. Like Mike Lyles earlier said, breaks my heart to hear that the struggles that he had, the divorce, his father passing, were soul appointments where his soul is saying, here's what the bigger piece of life looks like. And he took that invitation and ran with it. But here is what your opportunities are if you look into who you really are and you connect to that higher power, that amazing soul that we are all gifted with. Our strongest ally in our lives is our soul, and our soul is often calling us back to ourselves with these soul appointments. So what is soul? I don't want to give you the idea that soul is a religion. We need to go back to church. We need to find God to find our soul. That's not which is very helpful, but that's not what we're talking about. That your soul is your eternal part of yourself. I work with the strong belief system that we are eternal beings, that we are here, we're spirit having a human experience, and the human experience is limited. We're only here for a short time. So it's when we get these soul appointments that we need to go back to that eternal part of ourselves and from our soul connection, we get a direct connection to source, which is God, which is infinite intelligence, love, and life. Wouldn't you love to have that as your life partner, your life coach, and move into a higher consciousness? This seems unattainable when I say these words. So let's kind of break this down into smaller pieces. Most people have not built a relationship with their soul because we're not taught to do that. We're either taught religion, or we're taught to achieve things, or we're taught to have goals, and we're given morality and cultural belief systems. But sometimes those belief systems override our own internal intuition. It overrides our soul. Emotions in our lives are messengers, but they're not who we are. For instance, a little tip here, emotions are energy in motion. They're messengers. They're telling us things, but they're not who we are. And the big emotions are our soul. It's not our, it's not that huge connection, but they are flags, they're guidelines, they're posts, milestone posts along the way of our lives. So we get signals like anger and grief. They are telling us about where we're going. They aren't necessarily telling us who we are. So having a different relationship with your emotional well-being or your big emotions is paramount to understanding how your soul is speaking to you and who your soul really is. So I like to invite people to sit quietly when that chaos, when the huge things happen in our lives that we don't quite understand or we don't have clarity around. Just sit quietly, and especially when it's wrapped around a big emotion, and invite that big emotion to come sit with you. And you can ask that big emotion, who are you? What are you trying to tell me? And as you sit in this quiet space and you've invited this big emotion to talk to you, it's not you. So you're having a conversation. You also invite in your soul, your higher self, to say, where am I in my life? What's happening? What do I want to choose? What's the best pathway for me? So you have the big emotion saying you're on the edge of the cliff, and then your soul is saying, move 5 feet to the left and you'll be fine. You see what I mean? We have a team that's working together. So we shift our reaction into conscious living, and we shift being a victim in our lives to having awareness and being able to read our own personal map. So the 5 languages of the soul, breaking it down to even smaller pieces, is listening to your inner voice and understanding who's talking to you. Is my fear talking to me? Is my soul talking to me? Is my intuition talking to me? Is my culture talking to me? And that quiet inner voice that's loving and it's beneath the emotion It's not your fear. It's not your critic. It's not your inner naysayer, but it is a gentle, loving voice that says gently, move 5 feet to the left and you'll be safe. You'll be okay. How to access that inner voice is to get off autopilot, get off the past, get into the present moment, and feel your feelings without judgment so that you can discern what they're telling you and then listen beneath your reactions, go underneath those reactions. Yes, I know that you have all this list of things that you must do and that came from your mother or your father, but we're going to set that aside right now and we're going to quietly listen to what my own inner wisdom is. So the key to insight is emotions inform you and your soul guides you. Now, the second language is about creating an inner environment for connection. This is so important. Again, remember I said start that quiet little space and grow that quiet little space into more of a meditative place. And those of you who have a strong religion, have a strong faith base, I want to invite you to think about prayer asks the question and quiet meditation receives the answer. So we can ask and ask and ask, and we can forget to be quiet. We can go, why? But we forget to just be that observer, be that creative self that says, what if? What's the invitation? What am I being invited to? And we quiet down that mind. We quiet down that crazy anxiety. I can say the word anxiety. And we move into that sacred space. And why this matters is that our soul language is subtle. Our busy lives drown out our soul language. So it's so important to have that quiet space. And if you could only do it for 3 to 5 minutes, then do it 3 to 5 minutes. Somebody asked the Dalai Lama, how long should I meditate? He says, well, on a good day, about an hour a day. On a bad day, about 2 hours a day. I thought that was great advice, but I find it very difficult to sit in a busy day for 2 hours in meditation. So what I want to invite you to do is do snippets of quietness within your day. Start the day in quietness. Take a break. Stand up, walk around, go into quietness. And a good reminder, I just want to remind everybody, is guidance may come immediately and it may not. It may take time. Just keep the door open for the guidance to make its way through your tangled self till it hits your heart. Pay attention to what your heart is saying and doing, because our heart has the wisdom language within it. Our heart gets it. Our mind does not. Language 3 is take action on your intuition. Build a relationship through action. So you've said your prayer, you sat quietly in meditation, you get a feeling like maybe I ought to do this, or maybe I ought to, give my mother a call, or take this action, give my father a call, or and you argue with yourself all day long until finally at the end of the day, you need to take that action on that kind of feeling that came in. I'm going to make that phone call, and you make that phone call, and this beautiful information comes towards you if you stay in the present moment in a place that you never expected it to come. So taking action on small, subtle little suggestions that come from your meditation is paramount to building your trust. You're making the hose bigger for your intuition and your soul to talk to you, but you're also trusting yourself because you took action and it wasn't a bad experience. It was a good experience. You maybe got something good from it, and you're learning to trust yourself. So loving, calm, constructive, small nudges come from spirit and in your soul. Taking action is you saying you're welcome. You're inviting that wisdom into your life. So without the action, that big hose, that receptor place of accepting spirit, receiving the wisdom, isn't going to grow without you taking action. And you're building a reciprocal relationship with your soul, with your own self, with your higher understanding of life, and your confidence grows. And then you find that you're in charge and you're starting to co-create your life when you listen to those little higher power nudges. Now, the fourth language is divine grace. The fuel that yourself, the theme with divine grace is that think of a car and you're putting gas into the car. You could put high propane in, you could put the cheapest gas in. And that goes along with the thoughts that you put into your life. What's running your life? What's fueling your life? What if you went to your soul's gas station and filled your life with the source energy from spirit, from that divine love that I mentioned at the very beginning? What if you filled yourself with that every day? And when your tank starts getting empty, you go back to that quiet meditative space and said, I'm empty here, fill me up. And grace is what the fuel of grace is: love, it's inspiration, and it's creative power. So don't you want to go to that gas station and fill up your mind, fill up your heart? And how to strengthen this connection, this fuel, is return to sacred space constantly. And imagine yourself taking action on once the grace has filled you and you have a sense of, I need to go there, not here, and take that action, and then check in with your well-being. How did that make you feel? Where did that bring you? Where's your level of clarity at this point? What does your body feel like? And then you can use your imagination to go, if I continue to do this, what will my life look like in 3 months from now? What will it look like in a year from now? Does this action increase peace in my life? When we are peaceful and when we are calm, we do much better in our lives. So bringing that peacefulness, that calm, that trusting yourself, get you out of being stuck into possibilities of all these things I can try to do, all these things that I can experience. So the fifth language of your soul is about ideas and creativity. The integration of all of this work creates creative power. I can't say that enough. Creative power, soul power living. And this creative power includes all of yourself. You've now become aware of your soul's language, but you've also become aware of what gets in the way of your soul's language, which could be your inner parts, an inner angry child, or a protector, or a part of yourself that constantly sabotages your efforts. And your soul can help you recognize those parts, and you can take the keys away. The keys of the bus do not belong in a 3-year-old inner child's part that is having a temper tantrum and it's full of fear. It belongs to your aware self. Although you could listen to these parts of yourself that tell you who you are, tell you what they want, you begin to integrate the noisy mind, all the parts that are talking to you, that noisy mind, into your soul, into your soul's wisdom, into that calm, peaceful place. So your inner creativity begins to flourish. New ideas start to come. You're not taking yourself out of the game because you have doubts. You're having the doubts and you're sitting with them, but you're focusing on the power, the soul power that you are actually wanting to fill your life with. So you're discerning ego, those soul parts, with your soul. You know who's talking, you know who's running the bus, and you want your aware self to run the bus. Not necessarily your soul, not necessarily your inner child, but your aware self, to integrate them all together so that you are a co-creator in your life. And the final shift in this language is going from reacting to life to becoming the artist in your life. To realizing this is an opportunity I want to take, or this is an opportunity I don't want to take, that kind of thing. So I want to invite you to think about living from that new paradigm of having a relationship with your soul. And I want you to, you're welcome to come into my life, go to my Facebook page, Soul Power Living, or listen to my podcast, Angelscapes Podcast. And I have all little kind of crumbs in all of these places to help you live that soul power life. And thank you for inviting me to be a speaker here.
Well, thank you. I'm sitting here taking notes, right? As I'm listening to you. And a couple things really popped out for me about making sure that that you listen to that inner voice, go into quietness, set up that soul appointment so that you can actually feel what is real, connecting into source energy. Because at the end of the day, when you understand that we're part of something that's much greater than who we are, clarity comes. Not the certainty of what's going to happen. No, 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 no. But the clarity of where you fit into a bigger piece. And with that clarity comes peace.
Absolutely.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Well said.
Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your time and energy, and hopefully you can stick around because we'll have a little round table at the end.
Excellent. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, our next speaker helps people recognize when it's time to move beyond endurance and into agency, vitality, and self-trust. Catalina Popovinyuk, see if I got that right, is a psychotherapist and international speaker dedicated to helping women move from survival into fully lived lives. Her work blends clinical depth with human warmth. So please give a warm welcome to Catalina Popovinyuk.
Hello.
Hi. Hopefully
Very
I
happy
didn't.
to be here. No,
I-
no, you said it perfectly.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Please. The stage
Well,
is
I
yours.
have to say a lot of things, but you gave me only 15 minutes. Well, now I have to come another time too.
Absolutely. You're always welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Catalina. I'm 47 years old. And, because every story can change the world, I can tell you mine. I was born and raised in a narcissistic family, so I know exactly what lost and stuck is. Actually, I was lost and stuck for many, many years. A lot of gaslighting happened to me, of course, as in any narcissistic family. So, clarity, what does clarity mean? I mean, of course, I didn't know what clarity is because of all the gaslighting and so on. I just didn't know what was real anymore. I mean, I didn't know what was real because, they told me different things. For example, my mother went to hospital for some medical reason, and my narcissistic family told me that, of course, it was my fault. That because I don't know, I opened my mouth, I wanted to express my needs or whatever. That means that she's about to die because I opened my mouth. Of course, now we understand that it wasn't true. Now we can laugh about it, okay? But as a child, I didn't know that. So for me, it was very difficult because at every step and for every day, I was told that it's my fault. No matter what happened, it's my fault, and so on and so on. And of course, because of all of this gaslighting, as I said, I had no clarity. And years went by, and I became an adult. And of course, I chose only narcissistic relationships because that's all I knew. I mean, I didn't even know that was something else out there in the world. I didn't even know that, I deserve respect or things like that because nobody taught me about it. So, yeah, I'm not the only one. A lot of people, around the globe are going through the same thing. So it's not only me, but it's important to hear my story so we can help others and we can understand how this works. In my case, the clarity came when I heard about narcissism. When somebody told me about it, after that I read about it, I heard other people's stories and so on. So that was the point when, everything made sense in my head. And I said, oh, so that it was. Oh, now I got it. Then I understood that it wasn't my fault. Then I understood that I wasn't to blame for everything that happened to me. And there I understood many, many things. After that, I studied more and more about it. After that, I even became a psychotherapist and speaker, and I helped and I still help other survivors. And, it made sense. And after that, it was easier, definitely easier for me. Uh, Maybe it is the case for many of you. And it's important for you to know that you are not crazy, that it's not your fault, and it was never your fault, and you can find a good life out there for yourself. You can live, not just survive, and you can even thrive and be truly, truly alive. For many years, I didn't know what alive was. I just survived. It's good that I survived, okay, but at some point it wasn't good for me anymore. So I wanted more. Another thing that helped me was community. Hearing people's stories, as I said, but people who went through the same thing. So years went by, and after that, because I needed so much a great family, a healthy family, something that of course I didn't have. I created my own. Well, no, I didn't find a healthy partner. No, I created a global movement, and well, after that, I found a healthy partner. But meanwhile, I created a global movement called Alive in Her. You realize why it's alive in her, right? Because I wasn't alive. I didn't even know what alive was. I, for many years, I had depression, anxiety, so I wasn't alive at all. So that is why I named my movement Alive in Her, because I want to help and inspire and support women around the globe to find that thing to being alive, to really be happy, to really live, to really laugh, and to really enjoy everything around them, maybe a sunset or something like that. And of course, to be connected with their children, to be emotionally connected, to be able to be there, to be in here and now, and to really play with their children. If they are there in a room with their children, to be able to enjoy that moment and not to be disconnected and worry about many many things. So that is why I created this global movement, and I want all of us to be able to support each other, because no matter what country we are around the globe, we speak the same language. We speak the same language because we went through something similar, and we can definitely support each other. For many years, I didn't have people in my life to support me. With my narcissistic family, there was no support there. And after that, somehow I attracted, which is normal, we understand, only toxic people. So I needed that support so much. And because I needed it and really needed it, that is why it's easy for me to give it now. Because I know how it feels not to be helped, and not to get support, but to get only, mean words. So for all our listeners, if you are going through something similar, just ask for help. And please know that you are not alone. And there is a support group somewhere out there, maybe in your town, maybe online, who may help you. Of course, I didn't know how to ask for help. So that is why I'm telling you now that it's important to have the courage to ask for help and to know that somebody can help you. Because, I lived in, in a dangerous family, let's say. I thought that the whole world was like that. So I didn't know that there are good people out there. Of course, I know now, but for many years, I didn't know there are good people out there. I didn't know that there are people who can help you, or it's okay and it's safe to ask for help. So that is why I didn't know how to ask for help. And I didn't know that help is out there. And of course, I didn't have a voice, because everything what I tried to say was used against me. And of course, I understood that it's very very dangerous, and that is why I didn't use my voice. Now when I'm a speaker, I know that my voice matters. Of course, it took me many years to get here and to use my voice, but I'm very happy about it now. And many women, are telling me that I have a voice now and I can use my voice. And they need me to use their voice for them too, until they can find their own. So here I am using my voice for them, and for me, but for them until they will have a voice of their own. It sounds very interesting because I was so lost, I was so stuck, I was so voiceless and so powerless, and now here I am. Well, it wasn't easy, but I made it through. And of course, we can help each other, and you can reach this too. And you know, if I could do it, I'm sure a lot of people can do it. It's not easy, but it's possible. And every story matters, every voice matters, and every life matters. So just reach for help and know that we are here for you. And I said about being connected to your child. Well, for many years, I couldn't be connected to my child. I was a single mother and so on. And yeah, those years are lost, which is a pity. My son is an adult now, and those years, as I said, are lost. I can't get them back. So if you are going through something similar, please reach for help so you can really be there for your child or for your children. It's very, very important. And you lose some years that you can't take back. So that is why it's very important to be there and to be emotionally connected. Of course, I was there physically, but I couldn't connect emotionally. I couldn't connect properly. I was so disconnected of myself and stuck and lost and so on that I couldn't have done it, which is a pity, as I said. But you can hear us talking about it today and every day because there are a lot of talks and podcasts about this, and you can do better. You can learn something from our lives. I don't say it our mistakes, but our lives, and you can definitely do it better. And we are here to help you. So reach out. We are here.
That's absolutely. First of all, thank you very much for being here
Thank you.
today. And also, I wanted to encourage people to reach out to you in your group. So you
Yes.
can see this down here along the bottom of the screen. This is Catalina's group, Alive in Her. And I strongly encourage you to take the link, go to the group, and join it. Be active. We are all in this journey together. And the experience that she has had in her life has taught her so many life lessons that she's willing to pass on. So as you go through whatever you're going to go through, there are lots of different groups that are sitting out there. But right now, you have this opportunity to click that link, go to that site, and get the assistance and help and guidance and support that you need in your life. So, Catalina, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it. Is there any one last thing that you wanted to pass on to people?
No.
Okay, well, hang on. We're going to have our roundtable here in a little bit.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, as we come to the end of our journey today, we arrive at a question that many people feel but can't always name. Why do I understand what I need to do yet still feel blocked? Sometimes clarity isn't missing, it's obstructed by emotional residue, disrupted flow, or unprocessed experience stored in the body itself. And our final speaker works at this integrative level, supporting deep healing so clarity can move freely again through life, relationships, and abundance. With over 20 years of experience, Tanya Gonzalez Ortega supports deep soul level transformation through emotional healing and restored energetic flow in life, relationships, and abundance. Please welcome Tanya to the stage. Tanya, welcome.
Hi there, JB. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So excited to dive into this. And first of all, I just want to say that we are all, we are so much more than what we are led to believe. And so that's kind of where my work goes into is the unseen realms of energy and vibration and multidimensionality. So, my own personal path has been a one of awakening, and for whatever reason, I really had some deep, profound, sort of mystical experiences that opened me up to other worlds and other realms. And I learned so much from that experience that it I was drawn into the world of energy and energy healing. And it started off with Reiki energy and then crystalline consciousness technique. And most recently, in the last 6 years, I've been studying and practicing family constellations work. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today is family constellations. So what is that? It has nothing to do with the stars or constellations in the sky, but it's this concept that who we are is that we are actually connected to our ancestors and to what is called the knowing field. It was created. This modality was created by Bert Hellinger. He was a German psychotherapist, and it was, he developed it in about the 1990s. And during that time, there were other therapists that were creating other forms of work like Gestalt therapy and psychodrama. And so the story goes that with Bert Hellinger, as a family psychotherapist, part of his journey included learning how to heal through practices that he learned from a Zulu tribe. And he brought those learnings back into where he lived in Germany. And what he found at the time, there was a rash of suicides that were happening with the young men of his community, and nobody could understand why. And through this work, he was able to discover that these young men were actually carrying the weight and the burden of the trauma of their forefathers, their Nazi forefathers, and the crimes that they committed against humanity, and it was too much to bear. And through this process, he was able really to save the lives of these young men so that they could unburden themselves and reconnect to their truest potential. And really, that's the core of this work. Is we all have incredible potential, but what happens is that we're often carrying things that don't belong to us. And so one of the things that I'd like to say is, if you are facing something that you notice is a pattern that keeps repeating, it could be like the previous speaker was saying, Catalina, narcissistic, being in a part of a narcissistic family, for example, or let's say you struggle with relationships, or you struggle with money, or you struggle with depression, or even a physical condition that you don't understand why you're not able to find the resolution. And for me, my journey was, I had a Kundalini awakening experience, and what happened from there on is that I encountered a lot of health issues and could never get to the root of them. It really was a struggle. And the first time I received a family constellation, I was actually not seeking for it. And I love how life has, synchronicities and brings moments into your life that can't be explained but are perfect for you, right? There are no accidents. So I I received this constellation, and what I love about constellation work, and this is important to know, is that it's not talk therapy. And one of the problems with talk therapy, although it can be helpful to a degree to share your story, but the problem is we get stuck in the story, and you could be stuck in therapy for years and not have any progress. With family constellations work, we don't go into your story. We just go into, okay, well, what is it that you're struggling with, and how would you like it to be instead? And so in the constellation that I received, I basically just said to the practitioner that I had been struggling with health issues my whole adult life, and I didn't understand why. So we set up the constellation, and so what that looks like and there's different ways of conducting constellations, but in the way that what I was presented with was the group process. So I was in a group, in a room full of people, and she heard my issue, and she said, okay, now pick someone to be your mother, someone to be you, someone to be your father. And what happens, the knowing field, which is something that we're connected to always, all the time, the knowing field holds all information, all potentialities. It reveals, when we connect to it, we can see what has happened in the past through our ancestors. And basically, there's something very mysterious that happens, that once you have the intention of working with the knowing field, and you have people, representing different members of your family, they actually start to experience the emotions and the energy of, let's say, your mother, your father, and even yourself. And so I was witnessing this unfold, and it was so accurate, and it was blowing my mind, because I thought to myself, how could these people know so intimately and be able to receive so accurately this information when they know nothing about me and nothing about my family? But clearly something happens in the field, and what unfolded from that point on was even more mind-blowing, which was the facilitator had, through her intuition or her ability to read the field, which is what we're trained to do as facilitators in family constellations work, was that she could see that there was a death in the family. And she asked, and my mother was actually present in the constellation as well. And so she asked my mother, she said, did you lose any children? Now, interestingly, I never knew this about my mother, but she had 2 miscarriages. And in that constellation, that is what presented itself. And one of the reasons why we can get stuck in our life, there's so many things that disrupt what Bert Hellinger calls the orders of love. And so when that order of love is out of whack, we're not able to receive the love, the flow of love that wants to be expressed through us. So one of the disruptors in my personal constellation was the fact that these miscarriages were not honored, their death was not honored. And so that's one of the things that can disrupt the orders of love. There's other things that can disrupt it, can be things like, of course, trauma, incest, alcoholism, abuse. It can be things like war, ostracization. It can be things like let's say you grew up in a family where you had to be the parent as the child, and the parent was the child. So these role reversals. So when the constellation is happening, those blocks get revealed. So what was really eye-opening to me was the fact that I had a lot of trauma in my matrilineal lineage. And it was very clear to me that this was why I was struggling with my health. And it's because it was in my DNA, all of the trauma and all of the struggle. So what happens energetically and how I was able to free myself from that trauma is there's these healing sentences that we say inside of family constellations. A healing sentence for me, and that was, I give back what doesn't belong to me. I give back to your traumas and tribulations, and I honor you as my ancestors, and I receive your love, and thank you so much, because without our ancestors we wouldn't be here, without our parents we wouldn't be here. So I know this is kind of like a blast of information, and maybe it's not super clear. If you're curious to learn more, if you go to my YouTube channel, New Earth Consciousness, you can find some examples of family constellations work that can be experienced actually online, and it also can be experienced one-on-one. Now, some of the results that I've seen from family constellations work is really mind-blowing. And I'll just share one example of a client. So a woman came to me struggling. She was extremely distressed because her youngest son was falling into drug addiction. And she was desperate to find help. And so she came to me, and I said to her, well, we cannot do a constellation for him because he's an adult and he would have to want it. He would have to ask for it. But what we can do is a constellation for you, and he can be included, and perhaps we can see what's actually going on here. And what was revealed was the fact that addiction was something that was running in her family, and her youngest son was really identifying strongly with her father, who struggled with alcoholism. So long story short, after going through that constellation, and it was really powerful for her, she was able to tap into the emotions that she hadn't been allowing herself to feel. And through the healing sentences, a lot was let go of, and she could orient herself in the right way to the situation. And about 2 weeks later, she messaged me, and she had said that her son had came to her, basically telling her he was ready to go into rehab. And now he is doing well, and he's getting his training and becoming a helicopter pilot. And, the transformation was phenomenal. So these are the things that can happen when you work with the knowing field, is what people call miracles. And really, it's just energy and working with the quantum. And so when you shift at the soul level, these stuck energies, amazing things can happen. Constellations work can also be applied to business. So it doesn't always have to be a family issue, but if you're struggling in your business, you can use constellations work. It's called systemic constellations. You can see where in your business, okay, what's in the way, what's really happening, and how can we shift it? And I've also seen a lot of positive things come out of those types of constellations as well. So that being said, that's kind of my wrap for what I wanted to present today, is just the power of tapping into the knowing field and receiving transformation at the soul level, and how that can start to manifest out in your life. So thank you so much. Oh, you're muted, JB.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Tanya. I didn't understand a lot about family constellations until I started doing research on what you do. And when I found out what it was about, I really became intrigued to the point where I started to apply some of the principles into what I do on a business level. So I do an awful lot of work with artificial intelligence and augmented information systems with people. And what I clearly understand is that you really need to have an understanding of systems and the connections between people.
Yeah.
Because without that, everything gets misaligned very, very quickly. And the more misaligned you become, that becomes a gap that becomes it's like a cavity, and it gets bigger, and it hurts even more when you don't deal with it.
Yeah.
So the constellation theory, I'm fascinated by it, and I strongly advise everybody who's listening to this to take a look at the link at the bottom of the screen that's scrolling across, because Tanya's work is amazing, and you really need to take advantage of this opportunity. Take a look specifically. Whoa, I don't know what that was.
Sorry that I had it on Do Not Disturb, but it came through anyway.
But please, that's okay. Please take a look at this link and really understand what this not just a theory, but understanding what the knowing field is and how it really can fundamentally change how you approach yourself, your life, and how that's going to affect others around you. So thank you so much, Tanya, for being here. I really appreciate, the work that you do and how you bring it to people.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
JB. Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Well, everybody, what you've just heard brings us to really an important realization that clarity isn't something that we think our way into, it's something that we restore. So today we've explored clarity from multiple angles: emotional patterns, disciplined actions, soul alignment, psychological aliveness, and embodied flow. None of these stand alone. Together they form a fuller picture of what it means to orient ourselves in uncertain times. And this is where conversation becomes essential. So what I'd like to do is invite all of our speakers back, and they're here, for a roundtable conversation where we'll explore how these perspectives from different places intersect, where they differ, and how each can support each other. So today the question is, again, clarity is not certainty, it's orientation. So the question I have for everybody is this: when life no longer makes sense, how do we orient ourselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and practically without rushing to a false sense of certainty? So that's a big question, and you probably can't keep that. So what I'm going to do is, for those of us who are inside of our local area, we have a little private chat. You guys can't see it as people who are watching, but I put that in there so that you can see the question and really take a look at, from your own perspective, how you would answer that question. How do we orient ourselves? Because we live in a world of uncertainty, clearly today. We live in a divided world, in a world that's getting further and further apart. And yet we have strong people here with not just philosophies, not just practical frameworks, but practices that, when you implement them, can bring people together, can make yourself whole as an individual person. So what I'd like to do is open this up to the floor and answer this question, right? When life no longer makes sense, how do we orient ourselves? Mari, I'd like to start with you. You were the first speaker today.
Yes, thanks, JB. It's a very good question, because, to be honest, that happened to me. Sometimes said, why I'm living, what I'm living, what I'm existing on the earth. So to answer your question, I want to say we need to just, for a reason. I was listening to a podcast and say, just thinking about something. If your father and mother not married together or different, it should be not be you. For the billions, possibilities, you become life. So it should be a reason. But when it's not making sense, we if I think I mentioned, we need to start questioning where the questions come from, why the life is not making sense, because of the challenges, because of the facing obstacles. And then if we go deeper and deeper, we will understanding is related to sometimes to something that how we meaning to the life. Because with the changing of the meaning to what's happened to us, or a story will be changed. and then strategy or action will be changed. I think when somebody's reached to the point that my life is not make sense, are we questioning what's the meaning of the life, or what's the meaning of everyday action? Why you doing this, what this job, or why you living in this area, and then what's the fun to you? Because when the meanings change, the life meanings change, and then we starting to question it. The other thing is the level of energy, because when all made of energy or mental or approach, but when depression, when somebody's in the depression, they have the lowest energy ever. Now the question is why my energy is low, and then how I can create it. And energy is a choice. So we can choose to wake up and go, but sometimes we don't. And that is, again, why we need to question it. And the quality question, we get the quality answer. Otherwise, if we asking why is happened to me, I think was mentioned in this tonight. So this question is not going away. We will be lost more. We need to ask a question: what is for me? What I want to learn? And Tony Robbins has mentioned this morning. It was very resident for me. The problems are sign of life. Without problem, the life should be boring. So if I have a problem, that is for a purpose. I need to find that purpose and learning from it. So that is progressing and learning.
I got it. That's great. Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. Reverend Smith, how about you? How would you answer this?
Well, the short version or the long version, when life no longer makes sense, how do we orientate ourselves from a soul point of view, from a kind of a spiritual global point of view? Right now, we're in a huge change in humanity to think things differently, to associate to our world, not from our cultural training, but from authentically who we are, so that we can go forward in humanity. Now, that's saying it more practically is we're getting pressure from the world around us to agree with things, to agree with ideas, ideals, and some of them are really scary decisions that we haven't ever had to look at in our lives before. And so when it doesn't make sense, my advice is just stop everything and get quiet within yourself. And like I said, make that soul connection. What is real to me? What is not real to me? And what am I reacting to? And what do I have no idea what to do with? And don't necessarily try to make up your mind what's right and wrong in the world around you, but what's resonating within you. And sometimes what resonates within us is confusing because the answer out there is not clear. We're lacking clarity. If we sit long enough with a connection to a higher power, to a source that can lead us, I'm really big into the natural laws of there's a flow in the universe. There's a flow within our own heart and our own body and our own psyche that connects to that universal flow. And it won't steer us wrong. It won't steer us into agreeing to something that's not in our best interest. Hysterically, humanity has been very violent and very oppressive, and to control a group of people, there's no room for creative, independent thinking. If you understand that in your life and just get, okay, I'm feeling this pressure, it's not me, it's not resonating with me, it's not feeling good, that will cause confusion and uncertainty. So mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and practically, just take a break and stop, pull back, and call Tanya, call me.
Right.
Call Catalina, call mine, but mostly call your soul, call yourself. And where am I standing? Where's north? How am I relating to this situation? Is this real? It's a lot of illusion that's asking for our attention, and it's all illusion. It's not truth. So
I love
you don't
that.
have to subscribe to anything, really. So Thank you.
There's some key insights there. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm going to write a couple things down here. So thank you so much. Catalina, how are you?
Yes, we can see what we can control into our lives because we can control a lot of things. We can have a routine, we can support others, and so on. And we have a lot of resources. And imagine that we went through, COVID and everything, and we are here. So, we may think what helped us back then.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
absolutely
So
true.
what helped us in similar situations, and after that, find those resources, and we can still do it.
It's a practical way of approaching the problem.
Yes, very
Got it.
practical.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Okay. Tanya, how about you?
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I really agree with what Nancy was talking about. You know, I think that it's important, yeah, to stop. Sometimes when life no longer makes sense, if we continue to try to solve those issues through the mind, that's where we just get stuck, right? And you'll find that there's a limitation with the mind. The mind can only do so much. And when we can surrender ourselves to being like, you know what, I just don't know. Okay, I surrender. Like, I just don't know. And I've heard so many stories of people who get to this point in their life where nothing works, right? It could be their health, it could be whatever, all kinds of things where they're just flat on the ground going like, I've tried everything, I don't know what to do. And it's in that surrender, because to me, I feel like there's a larger, if you want to call it spirit, God, your larger, your divine purpose. There's something else that's calling you that you're not seeing, and that's the only way that it can get you to stop and wake up. And it's in that surrender. Now, it doesn't have to be that extreme, right? Like, I think the important thing is that when you start to get some of those signs, it's like, okay, what can I do? So for me, I think one of the best resources is nature, like just going out into nature, bare feet on the ground, just sitting. And if you live in the city, you can just find a park, just a place where you can connect to those healing energies of nature, that we can then, the mind can start to quiet, and we can hear what is meant for us.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so let me kind of put this together here. This is what's really, really interesting. So it starts with a question, right? Right. You find yourself in a situation, and in order for you to get out of the situation, whatever you're in, you have to ask yourself a question: can I get out of this? Right? How do I get out of this? Which is an even better question, because that opens the possibility of something that's bigger than you to answer that question. I don't know how to get out of this. How? Let the answer come to me. And here's the next part. Catalina, you're going to love this, which is, what steps do I need to take to enable whatever comes from that spiritual connection to practically take the next step to get out of whatever situation you find yourself in? It's not simple. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's not easy. The process is simple: to identify, ask a question, experience something from outside of who you are that's bigger than who you are, and then take practical steps. So, it's great to pontificate, but I think all of us have experienced something in our lives that has caused a significant pain or emotion that we had to overcome through this process that we're talking about today. And so for our listeners, I really strongly encourage you to listen to everything that has been talked about in today's summit. There are pearls of wisdom that you can implement in your life, because we do live in a time of uncertainty. We live in a time when our purpose is unclear because of so much stuff coming at us from outside. We're bombarded. I remember reading there was a scientific report that talked about the amount of incoming pieces of information that we have on a daily basis. So in Northern California, where I live, the first radio station in San Jose, California in 1912, that was the one radio station. That's how people got their news. So people were, our bodies are wired for having information come at us at a certain rate of speed and time. But we're bombarded with stuff now. So and we have no idea how we're filtering that information. So we need to stop. We need to take a breath. We need to ask a question. How can we get better? We need to put ourselves in a place where we recognize that we are not the center of everything, as much as our culture would like us to believe that we are. We're part of something that's bigger, and those bigger things can give us the answers that we're looking for. But then we need to take the practical steps. Because if we don't take practical steps, that's like, trying to be an opera singer in the shower. That's not going to happen. You got to get out of the shower. You got to practice. You got to make it happen on a daily basis. So I want to thank you all for being here today. This is an important topic that all of our listeners need and viewers need to really grasp and understand. And I want to remind everybody that, as we come to a close, I want to return to that image that I had at the very beginning of building for a moment. The race car track that I had when I was a little kid, it never fully formed. It only made sense while it was being assembled, piece by piece, layout by layout. And that's exactly how clarity works. The steps that were identified by all of our speakers today, it doesn't show up as certainty, it shows up as orientation, knowing where you are, what matters now, what you're willing to engage with next. So tonight you've heard different voices, different disciplines, different ways of knowing. And, you're not meant to agree with all of them, but you're meant to notice what moved you. So if you're lost, clarity may simply mean naming where you are without judgment. If you're stuck, clarity may mean taking one small, honest action, even without confidence. And if you're starting over, clarity may mean honoring what has ended so something true can begin. Don't wait for the full map. Old maps rarely survive the new terrain that we find ourselves in. Instead, ask yourself one quiet question tonight. What is the next piece I'm willing to place? Clarity will meet you there, not all at once, but enough to keep you going. So thank you for being part of the conversation today. And more importantly, thank you for being willing to stay present in uncertainty rather than to rush past it. And as always, stay curious and stay human. Thank you for being here. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Together we are Global Speakers Talk.